Hello there, this is the daily video for July 8th. So today we're going to start Module 2. Now in Module 1 we talked a lot about what is called human inference, and what we meant by that was when you're presented information, what inference do you make from it? In other words, what was your take home when you looked at information? And hopefully what you found in Module 1 is sometimes we need to more critically look at information before we make a decision or we make inference from that. Now, in Module 2 and Module 3, we're going to move into what is called statistical inference. And so basically what we're looking at is what does the field of statistics do? And so I want to talk about that for just a minute, and then I'm going to talk about how we're going to start to talk about that topic. So the primary idea of what we do in statistics is generally there is some large group of things or people that we really want to learn about. And inspecting all of those people or all of those things would be incredibly difficult. So the question is, can we take a small group from that larger group and use the information from that small group to learn about the big group? And you'll find out there's a lot of things we have to account for. When we want to account for error, we're going to account for, eventually something that's called variability. And so there's a lot of things that we need to take into account if we're going to use the smaller piece or the smaller group to learn about the large group. And so that's going to be the primary topic that we talk about the next two modules. Now what we're going to do today though is we're going to start by looking at surveys. So generally not generally, but one way that you can learn about a group of people is to have them take a survey. So maybe I want to learn about how all Americans feel, and so maybe I take a group of 200 Americans and I give them a survey, and the idea is maybe I can use that data collected from that survey to learn something about all Americans. And you see this all the time, like any time that you see polling data, that's usually how polling data is collected. The idea is they take a small group of people, they have them take a survey, and then they try to use that information to learn about how the entire population or the entire big group feels. And so the very first thing we're going to talk about is surveys themselves. So if a survey is poorly written, we really can't get good information from it. So the very first step is we need to make sure that we write a well-written survey. And so the exercises you look at today are going to look at that very thing. They're going to look at how to write good survey questions. And so you're going to see some notes on that. Now, in addition to how to write good survey questions or what good surveys look like, the other thing we're going to look at is something that's called a push poll. Now, what push polls are is they're a marketing scheme that's in the guise of a survey. And so these come up often around election years. And what happens is this group will send out something that looks like a survey. It looks like they're trying to collect data. But really what it is it's full of a lot of biased questions. And those biased questions are really trying to spread information. They're trying to get people to think a certain way. They're not actually collecting data. So you're going to look at, again, what we're going to look at today is we're going to look at how to write a good survey, and then we're also going to look at this thing that's called a push poll, which is a marketing scheme under the guise of a survey. And so those are the two things we're going to focus on today. Now, eventually in the course, you're going to need to write a survey. So once we get to Beyond the Classroom 2, Beyond the Classroom 2 is going to actually require you to write a survey and then to distribute that survey to people. So in order to get started on that, I'm not going to assign Beyond the Classroom 2, but to go ahead and get started on that, underneath of this video, there is a link to a worksheet, and that worksheet is called Survey Questions Worksheet. And what I'm going to have you do is if you fill out this worksheet, I'll go ahead, if you fill it out completely correct, and so I'm going to give you some directions here in a minute, so make sure to pay attention to those directions. If you fill it out completely correct and I make no changes on it whatsoever, I'll give you 5 bonus points on the next exam. Now, if you send it to me and there's some corrections that need to be made, I will make those corrections, send it back to you, and you'll still get 2 bonus points. So really take your time on this. It's some time to get some extra bonus points. You'll need to email this to me by next Monday at 6 p.m. But if you want to pause the video at this point and pull up the worksheet, that might be helpful, but I'm going to talk about it here in a moment. All right, so the first question on this worksheet is going to ask you to choose a topic that you're interested in. You can choose any topic that you want to talk about. It can be something as serious as gun control, all the way down to what is your favorite type of sandwich. It really doesn't matter what topic you pick. It just needs to be something that you are interested in. Now, the next one here is going to say, choose a group that you would like to ask questions dealing about your topic. And then it also says, make sure the group and the topic make logical sense. So for example, if you're interested in how well the iPhone performs, you don't want to talk to people that have Android phones. You want to talk to people that own iPhones. Similarly, if your topic is about UK basketball, well then your group probably wants to be UK fans or people that live in the state of Kentucky. We probably don't want to talk to people that live in Alaska about UK basketball. So keep that in mind. Make sure that the group of people you're interested in learning about make logical sense to go with whatever your topic is. So now in part 2, you're going to write a couple survey questions that go along with that topic up above. Now the first one, which is the hardest one for students, is the rating scale question. So I'm going to take just a moment and talk about it. A rating scale question is where you're asking someone's opinion on something. So for example, if we talk about, let's say I'm interested in people that go to the gym and I'm interested in their equipment that's at the gym. And I say, on a scale from 1 to 5, rate how good the equipment at your gym is. And then I say 1 is very poor, 2 is poor, 3 is in the middle, 4 is good, and 5 is very good. Okay, so notice what I did here. I'm asking someone's opinion. The other thing is I'm going to give them some options. I'm going to ask them to rank it from 1 to 5. And for each of the numbers, I'm going to say what that number represents. Now, usually doing a scale from 1 to 5 is usually a good number. If you say like on a scale from 1 to 20, you're going to have to say what 1 through 20 means. In other words, you're going to have to tell somebody what the difference between a 17 and an 18 is. That's probably too many choices. 1 to 5 is generally good. Now, let's say instead of that question, I had said, on a scale from 1 to 5, tell me how many times you go to the gym a week. Notice here, I'm asking about frequency. I'm not asking about an opinion. If you ask a question about frequency, it is not a rating scale question. So you want to make sure the question you ask is not about the frequency or the number of times somebody does something, because then it's just a multiple choice question. A rating scale question is really asking someone their opinion and then asking them to place that opinion on a scale. Now the next question is an essay question. That one's pretty self-explanatory. It's just an open-ended question. It can be whatever you want, just as long as it's about your topic. And then the third one, again, is pretty self-explanatory. It's just write a question where the only responses are yes or no. And so again, if you fill out this worksheet, you send this to me by Monday at 6 p.m. If I don't make any changes to it whatsoever, you'll get 5 points on the exam. If I send it back and I say, hey, you need to make a couple changes to this, you're still going to get 2 points. Now the benefit of going ahead and doing this is going to be the first part of Beyond the Classroom 2. You're already going to have it out of the way. So I really recommend, getting this done, emailing it to me Monday before 6. And like I said, and I'll take a look at it and give you some feedback to let you know about it. So again, just to recap, this week we're going to start looking at surveys. This is going to eventually lead us into really starting to talk about what is called statistical inference. So as always, if you have any questions, please feel free to use the discussion board. I'm more than happy to answer any questions that you have.